Have you ever felt like someone's presence spoke louder than their words? A glance that lingered a little too long? A smile that carried more meaning than it should? And then the realization she's married. Suddenly, every gesture feels like a code. Every look a secret language you were never meant to understand. Welcome to Dark Psychology. I'm Amelia, and today we're exploring one of the most intriguing dynamics of human behavior, the hidden signs. A married woman likes you, but is trying her best to hide it. But before we dive in, gentlemen, if you've ever wondered how to master emotional control, attraction, and masculine presence, I've written a complete ebook that goes far deeper than any YouTube video ever could. It's called If You Do That, Even Married Women Will Chase You. A full breakdown of masculine psychology, emotional gravity, and the secrets of attraction that few men ever learn. This isn't motivational fluff. It's real-world strategy, a manual for men who want results, not theory. If you're ready to understand how to become the calm, grounded, magnetic man women actually chase, the link to get the full book is in the pinned comment and description below. Go check it out and start mastering your presence today. Now let's get back to what you came for. Because when you start to recognize the patterns, the looks, the energy, the micro expressions, you'll begin to see how attraction hides in plain sight. And once you do, you'll never look at interactions the same way again. So, let's begin by understanding the why. Why would a married woman, someone committed, someone taken, develop feelings for someone else? The truth is, human relationships are layered, complex, fragile, and emotional. Even the strongest marriages aren't immune to emotional droughts. Sometimes a woman doesn't fall for someone new because she wants to, but because she's missing something essential. It could be emotional neglect where she no longer feels seen, appreciated, or heard. It could be validation, a sense of feeling desired again. Or sometimes it's simply connection, the rare feeling that someone finally gets her. It doesn't. Why married women develop secret crushes always start with attraction. Sometimes it's just a spark of attention that grows quietly in the background, a remembered detail, a thoughtful gesture, a moment where she feels noticed in a way she hasn't felt in years. And that's where the shift begins. Now, understand this. These emotions don't always lead to action. In fact, most women will suppress them. But that suppression doesn't erase the signs. It just disguises them. And if you pay attention, those signs are often written in her behavior. So here's where the real psychology begins. When attraction hides behind politeness and curiosity hides behind coincidence. Stay with me because in the next part we'll decode the nonverbal language, the gestures, the glances, the quiet body cues that reveal more than she ever intends to say aloud. The body language that betrays her. When actions speak louder than vows, they say words can lie, but the body always tells the truth. When a married woman likes you, truly feels something, her words may remain neutral, her tone professional, even distant, but her body starts speaking a different language. Let's decode it. One of the first most powerful indicators is eye contact. It's subtle but unmistakable. If you catch her looking at you a second too long, if her gaze lingers before darting away, you've just witnessed one of the oldest languages of attraction. See, the eyes are windows not just to the soul, but to suppressed emotion. She'll hold your gaze long enough to feel a connection, but not long enough to get caught. And that push-pull, that flicker between boldness and guilt, that's where the truth hides. It's a silent battle between curiosity and conscience. Her glance says, "I see you." Her quick retreat says, "But I shouldn't." Next, watch for micro-grooming gestures. These aren't random movements. They're subconscious signals of attraction and self-presentation. When you're nearby, does she adjust her hair, smooth her dress, touch her neck, or collarbone lightly? Those gestures aren't for comfort, they're for attention. The human brain evolved to prepare for attraction through grooming, tiny instinctive attempts to appear more desirable. In psychology, we call this nonverbal invitation. It's her body's way of saying, "Notice me," while her mind says, "Pretend I didn't mean that." Then comes posture and orientation. Subtle body language. Signs she likes you. Where her body turns, her interest follows. Does she lean in when you speak, not out of necessity, but out of desire to be closer? Does her torso face you even when her conversation doesn't? These small spatial cues often reveal more truth than her lips ever could. But here's where it gets fascinating and dangerous. If someone else walks in, her husband, a colleague, even a friend, watch how quickly her body changes. She may cross her arms, step back, look away. The energy shifts instantly as if a switch flips from open to closed. That contrast is everything. It's not the way she acts when she's alone with you that reveals the secret. It's the way she changes when others appear. And sometimes that's how you know. Because attraction rarely hides perfectly. It trembles in her laughter when you walk by. It hides in the way her voice softens when she says your name. It's not loud, it's quiet, restrained, but electric. Now, body language is only half the story. The real confession happens not in her movements, but in her words. Because sometimes the sentences that sound friendly are loaded with emotional depth. And once you know how to listen, really listen, you'll start hearing what's being said beneath the words. Stay with me because in the next part, we'll dive into the psychology of her conversations, how tone, timing, and personal details reveal the truth she'll never admit aloud when words whisper, what the heart can't say, the psychology of her conversations. Sometimes it's not what she says, it's how she says it. A woman who's hiding attraction will rarely confess it. But her words, her tone, her rhythm of conversation will betray her truth in ways she doesn't even realize. When a married woman starts developing feelings, her communication takes on a different texture. It becomes softer, slower, more personal. Her words start carrying emotional weight even when the topic seems ordinary. Let's break this down. First, the unnecessary depth. If you ask her a simple question, "How was your weekend?" she doesn't just answer good. Instead, she tells you about the movie she watched, the cafe she visited, even how she felt sitting there. She lets you in. Why? Because this isn't small talk anymore. It's emotional disclosure. She's subconsciously trying to build connection. In psychology, this is called selective vulnerability. It's the act of revealing just enough to feel close to someone without technically crossing a line. It's a form of emotional intimacy, quiet, cautious, but very real. Second, the echo of attention. Now, pay attention to what she remembers. Did you mention your favorite coffee last week and suddenly she's bringing it up again? Did you casually talk about a project, a book, a memory, and she's quoting your words days later? That's no coincidence. It's memory coded in interest. When someone likes you, their brain tags your details as emotionally significant. She may forget a dozen other things, but your small comments stick, replaying quietly in the background of her mind. She remembers because she cares, and she brings it up because it's her subtle way of saying, "I notice you. You matter." Three compliments that go too deep. Surface compliments are easy to spot. Nice shirt. You look good today. But when the compliments shift to your mind, your humor, your energy, that's where it changes. Meaning you always know how to emotional connection and flirtation cues stay calm. I love how you think. You have this confidence that's rare. These aren't flirty remarks. They're admiration markers. They signal emotional recognition. She's drawn not to how you look, but how you make her feel. And yet, she'll never say it directly. She'll hide it behind laughter, professionalism, or even sarcasm because acknowledging it would mean confronting what she's trying to avoid, her own attraction. 4. The tone that tells the truth. Now, tone. That's the secret weapon of the subconscious. If her voice softens when she speaks to you, if her laughter lasts longer than necessary, if she drops her guard even for a moment, you'll feel it in that instant. You're no longer just another person in the room. You've become the emotional exception, the one who makes her forget her walls. That shift in tone is everything because tone doesn't lie. It carries the emotional charge that words alone can't hide. But here's where it gets complex. You'll notice all these cues, the warmth, the interest, the spark, and yet the next day she might seem distant, cold, guarded. Why? Because attraction and guilt are now battling inside her. It's a cycle, connection followed by retreat. She gives you attention, then withdraws it to convince herself she's done nothing wrong. But every time she pulls away, that distance only amplifies the tension. That's the psychology of hidden desire. It's not loud, it's quiet, not chaotic, but carefully controlled. She's not trying to seduce you. She's trying to suppress herself. And in that suppression, the truth becomes even louder. In the next part, we'll explore the behavioral patterns, how her presence, her timing, and her small decisions reveal more than she ever intends to show. Because when emotion tries to hide, behavior always exposes it. Stay with me because part 4 will uncover the real-life cues that make everything crystal clear. The hidden strategies, how she creates coincidence on purpose. Here's the truth most people never see. When attraction grows, behavior follows. Even if she never says a word, she'll start engineering proximity quietly, carefully, deliberately, because desire doesn't need permission. It just needs an opportunity. 1. The art of coincidence. If you notice her appearing in places she normally wouldn't, it's rarely random. Maybe she's just passing by your workspace, or she's attending an event she never cared about before. Maybe she joins a conversation that's only loosely connected to her. Yet somehow she's there every time you are. These aren't coincidences. They're subconscious. Positioning moves. Her mind is looking for micro moments, a shared glance, a few seconds of interaction, small sparks that keep the connection alive without crossing a visible line. It's emotional proximity disguised as casual routine. And the most fascinating part, she'll convince herself it's all accidental because intentionality would mean acknowledging the truth. Second, the mirroring technique. Watch closely. Does her schedule, her hobbies, or her interests start to mirror yours? Maybe you mention you've started going to the gym, and a week later she's thinking about fitness. You talk about a book, and suddenly she's just started reading it. That's not imitation, that's connection. Camouflage. It's a psychological signs. She's testing your interest phenomenon known as behavioral mirroring, where people subconsciously align their actions with those they're emotionally drawn to. It creates comfort, familiarity, belonging, and most importantly, it keeps her emotionally close without looking obvious. Third, emotional presence. Now pay attention to timing. She reaches out not too often, but always. Just when you start to drift. It might be a small text, a question, a comment that reignites conversation. It's never too much, but just enough to keep her remembered. This is emotional maintenance, the subtle art of staying relevant in your mind without raising suspicion in hers. And when she does it right, you start noticing her absence. That's not random. That's control. 4. The disappearing act. But attraction isn't consistent. It's conflicted. So after being warm, open, even playful, she suddenly turns distant, cold. She avoids you in public, keeps the conversation short. You feel the emotional door close. That's not rejection. That's self-protection. She's caught between two opposing instincts to connect and to conceal. So she retreats, convincing herself that her silence resets everything. But deep down, she knows it doesn't. The tension remains. The energy lingers. And in that quiet withdrawal, she reveals the truth because people only run from what they secretly feel. Fifth, the social cover. In group settings, she becomes careful, even strategic. She won't talk to you as much. She'll laugh with others, avoid eye contact, act indifferent, but notice, her attention still drifts toward you. She'll subtly monitor your reactions, your tone, who you talk to. It's a psychological balancing act. Stay invisible enough to protect her image, but close enough to feel the emotional charge. This is where attraction hides best in plain sight. And yet these hidden strategies can't last forever, because the more she tries to suppress her emotions, the more her contradictions start to show, you'll see. Warmth turn into distance. Distance turn into tension, and tension turn into curiosity again. It's a cycle predictable, powerful, and emotionally draining. But here's the real question. What should you do when you start noticing all these signals? When her actions speak louder than her silence, but you know she's someone else's story. That's what we'll uncover next. The war within. When guilt meets desire. You've probably felt it before. That strange mistakes men make. when reading signals tension that lives between closeness and distance. One day she's warm, laughing, eyes locked on you, and the next she's cold, distant, almost pretending you don't exist. That's not confusion, that's conflict, the silent war between what she feels and what she believes she should feel. 1. The emotional whiplash. When a married woman likes you but can't admit it, she becomes unpredictable. One moment she'll lean in, engaging deeply, listening closely, finding reasons to talk. Then suddenly she'll retreat, change topics, or vanish for days. It's the pendulum swing between longing and loyalty. She's fighting two realities: the world she's built with her partner and the emotional spark she feels with you. Her mind says, stop. Her emotions whisper, just one more conversation. Second, the guilt response. Here's what few understand. Guilt doesn't erase attraction, it intensifies it. When she feels guilty after a moment of connection, a touch, a laugh, a glance, she'll pull away hard. She may avoid eye contact, keep things professional, or even act irritated. That's not rejection. That's self-punishment. In psychology, this is called cognitive dissonance, the mental stress that comes from holding two opposing truths. I'm faithful and I'm drawn to someone else. The guilt makes her suppress her feelings, but suppression isn't deletion. It's pressure, and pressure always leaks. Third, mixed signals. The language of conflict. If she's giving you mixed signals, understand this. It's not to manipulate you, it's to protect herself. She'll text, then disappear, flirt, then deny. Seek your attention, then act like it means nothing. Each mixed signal is a glimpse of her internal storm, a push and pull between desire and denial. The same woman who avoids you in daylight might think about you when everything is quiet, because attraction doesn't vanish in silence, it echoes. 4. The fear of discovery. Another sign of hidden affection is hyper-awareness. She's careful, measured, almost strategic. She notices who's around, how close you're standing, how long the conversation lasts. Her fear isn't just being caught by others, it's being caught by herself. The moment she fully admits what she feels, she risks rewriting her own identity, and that's terrifying. So she hides not from you, but from the mirror of her own truth. 5. The emotional leakage. But suppression always leaves residue. It leaks out in tone, timing, and silence. Maybe she compliments you through humor, pretending it's a joke. Maybe she over-explains her disinterest, trying to convince herself more than you. Maybe she becomes defensive when someone casually mentions your name. Each overreaction is a confession wrapped in denial. And if you've developed emotional intuition, you'll sense it. The hesitation in her smile, the weight in her pauses, the warmth that lingers after she leaves the room. Understand this. She's not the villain in this story. She's human, a mind fighting its heart, a heart that still beats beneath promises, routines, and rules. But here's where your psychology matters, because what you do next determines whether this becomes a lesson or a trap. In Part 6, we'll explore how to respond the ethical, stoic, and self-controlled way, how to keep your power, protect your peace, and walk with clarity when emotion tempts chaos power, what to do. If you notice these signs, boundaries, and detachment, how to respond with strength. You've seen the signs, the glances, the hesitation, the push and pull that keeps your thoughts spinning long after she walks away. But this is where most men fall right here. They mistake curiosity for destiny, attraction for permission. And that's how chaos begins. If you truly understand dark psychology, you know that power isn't in reacting. It's in remaining centered one. Respect the boundary even when she doesn't. A married woman's emotions might waver, but your integrity can't. You must become the fixed point in a shifting storm. Respecting her marriage isn't weakness, it's self-control, because any connection built on secrecy eventually turns to smoke. In Stoic terms, the greatest proof of strength isn't conquest, it's restraint. Let her see that you can stay calm, collected, untempted. That's the kind of presence that leaves a mark far deeper than flirtation ever could. 2. Assess your role. Ask yourself, Am I feeding the fire or standing in the light? Sometimes attention, even innocent, becomes fuel. A smile too often, a joke too personal, a message too late at night. You don't have to be cold, just clear. Keep your tone steady, your words neutral, your energy grounded. If she tests the line, you don't shame her. You simply don't cross it. Boundaries spoken calmly are stronger than walls built in panic. 3. Control the environment. Distance is medicine. Limit private spaces. Late night conversations, emotional confessions. Meet her with courtesy, not chemistry. Your goal isn't to punish, it's to preserve. When you remove the arena, the battle ends. Remember, attraction dies in the absence of opportunity. Fourth, communicate with clarity. If the dynamic starts feeling heavy or awkward, say it with maturity. I value our connection, but I think we should keep things professional, simple, direct, unemotional. You're not exposing her. You're protecting both of you. That's how a man operates with power and dignity. No drama, no chaos, no gossip. Fifth, the stoic mindset. Here's the ultimate truth. You can't control attraction, but you can always control action. That's where power lives in your response, not her signal. Stoicism teaches the man who can walk away owns the relationship. Not because he's cold, but because he's whole. The moment you prove you don't need the game, you master it. So what have we learned? Attraction doesn't always mean intention. Signals don't always mean seduction. And understanding doesn't have to lead to action. When you see the patterns, her glances, her hesitations, her contradictions, don't see them as an invitation. See them as insight. Proof that you've grown aware enough to read the hidden chapters of human nature without becoming part of them. That's the essence of dark psychology. Not final thoughts on attraction psychology manipulation, but mastery, the power to see through illusion and stay unmoved. I'm Amelia, and this is Dark Psychology. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, like, and share because understanding human nature is the first step to mastering yourself. And remember, self-control is the highest form of power. Sometimes understanding human nature isn't about judging others. It's about seeing clearly, without illusion, without bias, without falling into the story you were never meant to play. You didn't watch this video to expose anyone. You watched it to understand how the mind works when emotion hides behind reason. That's what dark psychology is all about, revealing what most people never notice. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this where attraction, boundaries, and emotion blur, remember, power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself, the man or woman who can stand still while everything else shakes. That's the one who holds real influence. That's the one who can't be manipulated. And that's the one who wins quietly by never needing to play the game. If this video spoke to you, if you found clarity, strength, or even a little peace in understanding these patterns, then take a second to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications because every week we dive deeper into the human mind, attraction, power, control, and the hidden motives that shape every relationship. This is Amelia, and you've been watching Dark Psychology, where awareness becomes power and silence becomes strength. Stay aware, stay in control, and remember, not everyone deserves access to your mind.